So, cool. So I'm Phil Wiley. I'm one of the WordPress developers at iWeb, and I'm also one of the organisers of Staff's Web Meetup, along with Tash and Dave. And I've been working with WordPress since about 2007, sort of on a freelance basis, and for the past 4.5 years or so with iWeb. Cool. So tonight I was going to talk a little bit about WordPress. So who uses WordPress? Little show of hands. Okay, awesome. It's about half the people, yes. So as those guys know, WordPress is a platform you can use to build a blog, a website, or even an application. It's actually one of the most widely used PHP applications out there. It powers 25% of the entire web. And if you look just at the CMS space alone, it powers 50% of all CMS websites. So it's safe to say WordPress is used by a lot of people. And that's a lot of people with a broad range of experience. So you get a lot of well-written, performance, secure WordPress sites, and you get some not so great WordPress sites. So over the years, we've seen the WordPress community having to defend its credentials as a serious platform. And when I started 4 or 5 years ago with it, it was seen as just a blog, not powerful enough to run a serious website. 4 or 5 years of iterative improvement later, you've got people saying WordPress is bloated, it's too complex. Part of the community break off and build Ghost, and they give it the strapline just a blogging platform. What you've got to remember is nothing changed in that time, but still just gives you posts and pages. It's just what it was. I think we've pretty much got to the point where some people hate WordPress just because it's successful, and that's success despite the fact that it's not written with the latest PHP MVC framework, it's not written with a micro framework, it's not a server-side JavaScript framework. Some people will never be happy. So why has WordPress become so popular? Good question. So out of the box, it just gives you posts and pages. But from a developer's perspective, there's a few reasons why I believe it's become such a widely used platform. Let's say out of the box, it gives you posts and pages, so it's good for just a small website. But it's also a good starting point for a lot of projects. So Lara in a bit is going to show us WooCommerce, which is how you can turn your WordPress site into a fully-fledged e-commerce store. And then Johnny's going to show us multi-site in a bit, which is a really powerful feature. So overall, it's just a flexible platform, and that's what I'm going to show you tonight, what you can build on top of WordPress. So there's a couple of core concepts that we're going to talk about tonight. Post types, taxonomies, and post meta. Unfortunately, I haven't got time to show you the code on my slides, so I'm going to do it in quite a visual way. So we're going to start with post types. So out of the box, you don't post and pages, but you can actually register your own post type. So you can have an event, case study, team member, a store, and this is actually how plugins like WooCommerce hook in, so they can actually add something like a product. And all of these concepts we're talking about tonight, post types, taxonomies, post meta, these are actually using the existing WordPress database structure, so you're not building anything crazy, you're just using a simple bit of code to register something that's actually quite powerful. So the beauty of this as well is because it's a standard way of registering say like a new type of content in your site, anyone coming on board on that project knows how to style sort of like individual post types, so you could have like your videos looking different to your stores, etc. So go back to that example. So this is the Nobel Inspiration Initiative, so it's a visual video site. So we've actually registered a post type called video, and you can then, instead of just having like a standard blog or a set of pages, you can actually browse the website in a completely different way. It's completely different to a blog, for example. And the second concept I wanted to talk about was taxonomies. Out of the box, you're probably aware of categories and tags, but you can actually register your own. And these taxonomies are just ways of categorizing content, so you can tag your post types with things like region, department, format, size. In this example, we've got a musician, and he has a portfolio. And we've registered a taxonomy so that you can categorize the portfolio items. and you can filter through the portfolio, which is quite nice. And also in the previous example, down the side we've got the categories, so you can browse videos by category. There's also Nobel laureates at the bottom, so you can browse the videos in different ways. So it's just a way of organising your content. And the final thing of concept I was going to talk about was post-meta, and this is basically just additional information about your things. So it's just key value data that WordPress can store. So in this example, all ports, they have a vehicle post type, and there's a bunch of information. So you've got make and model sort of listed on the page, and these are just, I'll show you what it looks like in the admin. These are just fields that the user can enter. So basically, using what's known as meta boxes, you can create custom entry forms. So you're probably used to just seeing an editor, but actually you can create these custom forms which have just the fields that the client needs to enter. And there's actually libraries that can help you build these forms. You don't have to do it from scratch. You've probably heard of advanced custom fields, but there's also things like CMV2, and you basically just give it an array of what fields you want to store, and you can also specify the type of that field. So you can register standard inputs like text area, WYSIWYGs, select boxes, checkbox lists. You can also do advanced fields like repeaters and things like maps. So here's an example where we've built a store finder. We've got our store as a post type, and there's a map field there, and that's saving the longitude and latitude. And on the front end, you can then search for your nearest store. So to tie it all together, WordPress also has quite a nice template hierarchy, and this is the standard file structure that builds up your theme, so the presentation layer of your website. And it's actually a really cool diagram, which I can link to you afterwards, which shows you what file will be loaded for each page request. And there's also quite a nice fallback system, so you could, in theory, build a whole WordPress theme with just one file, well, two, include the style sheet, which is quite a cool, powerful way of theming as well. And just an example with that is, say you have a video post type. In your theme, you can create a file called single-video.php, and that will get loaded first. So you can basically have a different style for every type of content on your website. And finally, there's a concept called Impute Query, and this is a helper class which you can use to retrieve posts. And you can create quite complex queries. You could say, you could have a team page, for example, and you could have a query on it if you want to display all your team members. So you could have a query that says, get me all the team members, which is a post type, in this department, which is your taxonomy, with this job title, and that's your post meta. And Impute Query basically converts what is essentially a really simple array into the SQL, which goes off, gets all that information from the database and just returns it to you as an array, and you can just loop through it. So you can create quite complex websites quite easily. So that was just a real quick flying look at a couple of the core concepts of WordPress. Do find me afterwards or ping me on Twitter, and I can go over any of this and give you any code, anything like that. Thank you very much for your time.